Story number 2. Updates with the second, third, and fourth batch of names on the Epstein list. Last week, we talked about the Epstein list. I got an email from a listener. His name is Tim Barbin. He emailed me the following: 0 credibility left. After your winner and loser podcast, 100% lie that Trump was left off the Epstein list. For the record, Trump is listed at least 7 times. Utter complete scumbag you are. I'm a little bit surprised at the vitriol coming from Tim. I don't know if he's a longtime listener, but it is a little bit surprising, the vitriol regarding my character. Maybe you think, Tim, that I have been too soft or maybe even too supportive of Donald Trump. I don't know. There's a lot of anger out there among DeSantis supporters regarding Trump. I don't know. Or maybe you're on the left, and I would be happy if we have, some percentage of listeners on the left. But I don't know where this comes from, this level of vitriol. But I will tell you, if you're a longtime listener, my goal is to always be fair and to get it right. And so let's revisit the list and let's talk about Donald Trump to get it right. Let's decide if I'm an utter scumbag. The list right now on the Epstein batches is getting long. It includes the names in the press reports, includes people like Cate Blanchett, Leonardo DiCaprio, David Copperfield, Michael Jackson, Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, Alan Dershowitz, Prince Andrew. Now, the point that I made in our previous discussion about the Epstein list is the only point that I think in the end matters. It's not who's on the list, even if it is revealed some really horrific crimes, sexual crimes. The point of those crimes is not the perversion of the alleged perpetrator. The real story and the point of the list is, why is there a list? Secondarily, why has there been no arrests from anyone on the list? More importantly, third, who is Jeffrey Epstein? Fourth, how did he get to his position of influence and connections and power? And fifth, who did he work for? Who controlled Jeffrey Epstein? Let's talk about the names on the list for just a moment. Let's go through a few. Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton is listed inside the Epstein documents something like 50 times. He is not directly alleged for any specific crimes in the list. The most damning mention in this list of Bill Clinton, and these are all deposition testimony, largely from a victim, Virginia Giuffre, wherein she's giving depositions to attorneys. And the following exchange was had. Attorney, let me back up. Do you know if Bill Clinton was a friend of Jeffrey Epstein? Answer, I knew he had dealings with Bill Clinton. I did not know they were friends until I read the Vanity Fair article about them going to Africa together. For what it's worth, there's also stories out there that Bill Clinton, I don't think this is metaphorical, like barged into Vanity Fair demanding that story not be published. Question from the Inquisitor again. Did Jeffrey ever talk to you about Bill Clinton? Answer. He said one time that Clinton likes them young, referring to girls. So no direct alleged crime. Pretty damning, though, for Bill Clinton, in that Jeffrey Epstein was a pedophile, sex trafficker. We know that. A legitimate question is, all these people that are around him so many times, did they never know? How could you not know? And then if it's being referenced that one of the girls that was kept around knew that Bill Clinton liked young girls, a lot of smoke around Bill Clinton. For what it's worth, Epstein also had that famous painting of Bill Clinton in a dress. And I think that ties more into the questions of, who did Jeffrey Epstein work for? Seems like a pretty in-your-face, I've got you by the crotch. Who's got the real power? Clinton or Epstein? Or the agency that controls Epstein? Prince Andrew, all over the documents, everywhere. There are stories in here, yes, about people having sex with Prince Andrew. There's a story where somehow involves a puppet. I'll read directly. They put the puppet on Virginia's lap, and I sat on Andrew's lap. And they put the puppet's hand on Virginia's breast, and Andrew put his hand on my breast, and they took a photo. Please name a person. This is a question. Please name a person that Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein's confidant and co-conspirator, directed you to go have sex with. Answer, Prince Andrew. Glenn Dubin is an Epstein friend, billionaire, was a hedge fund manager. There was this exchange. Okay, well, I need you to say a time when Ghislaine Maxwell directed you to go have sex with another person. So can you please tell me to whom Ghislaine Maxwell asked you to go have sex with? Objection to form in the deposition. Then the answer, Glenn Dubin. Tom Pritzker, we talked about him, billionaire, Hyatt Hotel Empire. Question, if I were to ask you the question, how many times you have had sex with Tom Pritzker, do you know what the answer to that question means? Or do you know what that question means? I believe so. All right, what is the answer to that question? I believe I was with Tom once. Then the names get looser, less direct connection to something that went wrong. I'll give you another example. Illusionist, magician, David Copperfield. Question, have you ever met David Copperfield? Yes. And do you recall when you initially met him? Yes. Can you tell me what that was? Sure. Someone called me from the house and said that he would be there, and if I wanted to come have dinner, then I could meet him. And what happened at dinner? He did some magic tricks. Did you observe David Copperfield to be a friend of Jeffrey Epstein's? Yes. Did Copperfield ever discuss Jeffrey's involvement with young girls with you? Answer. He questioned me if I was aware that girls were getting paid to find other girls. Now, again, no specific allegation of a crime, but it suggests if you're around Jeffrey Epstein, you might be picking up what he's putting down. You might have some sense of what's going on. But not always, because some of these names in here are simply the attorneys asking the question of whether or not someone was involved. And the answer is often no. And that stinks because now your name is somehow associated with Jeffrey Epstein, not even from a witness, but from an inquisitor. That's the case, it seems to be, with Leonardo DiCaprio or Cate Blanchett. That's just where the attorney's saying, did you ever hear Jeffrey Epstein mention Leonardo DiCaprio or Cate Blanchett? And the answer is often no. But Jeffrey Epstein bragged often that he knew celebrities, and he said he was on the phone with them, but there's no evidence that he actually was on the phone with them. Here's one. Did you ever meet anybody famous when you were with Jeffrey? I met Michael Jackson. Oh, really? Where was that? At his house in Palm Beach, at Jeffrey's house in Palm Beach. Did you massage him? I did not. Massages were almost the euphemism for going somewhere in the house, wherever you may be, on the plane, on the island, with a young girl. And then there's Donald Trump. Donald Trump's name, I believe his name is mentioned somewhere around 7 times in the documents. It's the same nature as those who are not alleged to have conducted any crime with Donald Trump. The references, as far as I can tell, and I'm open to Cain Podcast at Fox.com, where I get this wrong. These pages, by the way, there's multiple batches. And by the time I talked to you last time, I believe it was only 1 batch. Now we're up to 4 batches. Donald Trump, how was he referenced? Trip to Atlantic City, Jeffrey Epstein says, I don't have it directly in front of me. Jeffrey Epstein says, basically something like, we'll get hooked up through Donald Trump, meaning at a casino and a hotel in Atlantic City. Trump himself has addressed this. He said he knew Jeffrey Epstein in Palm Beach in the 90s. He said Jeffrey Epstein was connected. He was a player about town. He said everybody knew Jeffrey Epstein. And he said he didn't like Jeffrey Epstein, and he distanced himself from Jeffrey Epstein not long after that. I don't know. But when I don't know the truth, but all I'll tell you is this. When I tell you in the previous episode that Donald Trump was a winner of this, I stand strong on that statement. I gave winners and losers because if your name is connected to Jeffrey Epstein, and this stinks, this is the way media does it. So for now, DiCaprio, Blanchett, Michael Jackson, whatever. If your name appears next to Jeffrey Epstein, do you know what people think? Of course you know what people think. They think, oh my gosh, client of Jeffrey Epstein, and client, therefore, of sexual crimes. And if your name, as Donald Trump's has for quite some time, is in any way associated with Jeffrey Epstein, pictures, whatever it may be, you're presumed to be dirty with no evidence. But now that we have at least this testimony, Donald Trump's a winner because he's in the same bucket as Michael Jackson or any of these others, name associated in some way. less than David Copperfield, less than Michael Jackson, maybe more than Leonardo DiCaprio. So yeah, I think when you walk about with assumptions and press insinuations that there's something more, and all it turns out is, I knew him in Palm Beach, and he dropped his name, and Epstein dropped his name as though he could hook him up in Atlantic City. You come out with this bit of truth here, a winner. I happen to think that's me doing my best to tell the truth, not running political hack for a candidate that I want to win president. And I happen to think, I'd like to believe as I go to bed tonight, I'm not an utter scumbag. Hey, it's Will Cain. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News channel on YouTube. It's the best way to get our latest interviews and highlights. And click to subscribe to the Will Cain Podcast for full episodes right now.